This game features the Steamroller 2015 Fire Sport scenario. Fire Sport scenario features Kill Box. You can dominate the friendly flag for 1 control point. You can control the enemy flag for 1 control point, or dominate the enemy flag for 2 control points. The enemy objective is destroyed or removed from play, as also worth 1 control point. The first player to earn at least 5 control points wins the game.
For tonight's extravaganza, I chose Krueger 1. He's running with a Gorax, a Stalker, a Rotterhorn, a Feral, 2 units of Bloodweavers, a unit of Bloodtrackers with Nuala, 2 units of Shifting Stones, a Blackclad, and 2 Gallows Groves. My opponent has a lot of lightning immune heavy hitters in Dynamo and the Stormwrath. It's going to be kind of a little rough on Krueger.
So I decided to bring Major Prime Victoria Haley to this battle. She has Sylys Wyshnalyrr as an attachment and a Charger as her lone warjack. I'm also bringing a full unit of Tempest Blazers, a full unit of Storm Lances, a minimum unit of Trenchers, Lady Aiyana and Master Holt, a Journeyman Warcaster, and the Jakes with Dynamo on them. So I end up winning the role and choose to go first, and for this scenario really I'm just deploying everything in the middle of the field. You see I have Haley in the very middle, so she has access to the trench, and then I'm putting the Storm Lances behind her. The reason I chose the Storm Lances and the Tempest Blazers in this list was because they're both very high value revive targets, and I like the Blazers in particular because they can kind of range out beyond the cloud wall, and they're a really self-sufficient unit. I put Jakes and Dynamo on the list because between Temporal Flux and the Sidekick, Dynamo actually gets ridiculously high in defense. He ends up being a defense 18 against charge attack.
For my deployment, I actually am going to cheat here a little bit. I thought that the Bloodweavers had AD, so I set them up on the AD line, which is kind of quite a bit of an advantage.
So the only AD I have in this list is the minimum unit of Trenchers, and again they're just going center field so they can provide smoke walls for the Storm Lances and Dynamo.
But my general plan is to have the Stalker get into the woods over here on my right, and the Feral to get as close as he can to that wall as quickly as he can, and use that to project power around the center of the board on both flags. The Rotterhorn is going to just do what he does and get into the midst of Snarke's infantry and try to do some screeching. I'm fairly certain that most of my infantry could have run where they're going to get to anyway, even with the 2 units of Bloodweavers getting the incorrect advanced deployment. Going to put the stones in a central, two pods in a central position to allow me to jump towards his enemy, to threat as much as I can. I'm going to pray the Storm Lances with my Bloodtrackers, as they're probably going to be my most problematic conundrum here.
So my primary goal for turn 1 is just to get everything as far up the board as I can without giving Krueger too many juicy feed targets. One of the advantages of this list actually is that I have Storm Lances in it, and they are lightning immune, so it means he can't feed on them. However, he can feed on Jakes, which would shut down Dynamo, which is a pretty scary thought, so I'm going to have to be really careful of her. Looks like right now I'm moving Haley into the trench, and I'm spending 4 focus to put out her echoes. That's Haley Past and Haley Future. And I'm also casting Tactical Supremacy on the Trenchers. The great thing about Tactical Supremacy on them, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but it's the fact that with Tactical Supremacy they can make those cloud walls and then advance out of the cloud walls at the end of their activations. It's really helpful. It's kind of like playing the High Reclaimer with a unit that also can, shoot and do some work. So I think it's great. So right now I'm just moving the trenchers up in a line, and they're all putting their cloud walls down. One kind of cool thing about the trenchers that's true about them and not other units like druids is that, kind of like Gorman, they can put their cloud, it doesn't have to be centered, it only needs to be within an inch of them to the center, so it allows some flexibility there if you misposition a little bit. Now I'm running up the Charger, and the reason I like the Charger as the lone jack in Haley3's battle group is because it's a really focus hog of a jack. You always want to give it 3 focus, and between Haley and both her echoes, you usually have some spare focus to allocate it, so I think it's a really good matchup with her. So it looks like right now I'm running up the Storm Lances behind the clouds. One thing I'm making sure of is to leave space between the Storm Lances and the clouds themselves, and that way it will allow me to move my trenchers behind the clouds. That's one thing that took a little while to get used to. At this point I'm moving up Junior and I'm putting Arcane Shield on to Haley3, and that's primarily because of Krueger's feat. She's only arm 14 or so, 14, 15 or so I think. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that feat can really do a lot of damage to her, so putting on the Arcane Shield really helps out. And last, I'm moving up the Tempest Blazers, so they're out of charge range from the Bloodweavers, and hopefully they can Electro Leap into them next turn and do some damage. You will see in a bit that I do forget to take my Tactical Supremacy action with the Trenchers, so I want to thank Fort for letting me do that.
Well, these AD Bloodweavers that shouldn't be AD don't move very far. They could have easily gotten where they are on this turn, so these didn't affect the game. The ones down south did have an effect, but not that much of an effect. Snarke here forgot to do his Tactical Supremacy move, so I backed up and let him do that. I'm setting up a Gallows Groves on this end, and then a Prowling Stalker hiding in the bushes up there. Hopefully he'll get to do some work on the Storm Lances. I'm going to put him in a set of stones and have the Rotterhorn near him to maybe go deal with some of those trenchers if they get a little too close. Instead of running the chicks with sticks, the Bloodtrackers, towards the Storm Lances, I'm going to have to go deal with these light cav down here. They're going to be a big problem if I don't do something about them. I can try to drop a chain lightning on them, but I'm not sure that'll have much of an effect. So the chicks are going to take a few shots. They're not likely to hit anything. They need 11s to hit them in the bushes there. So it's quite unlikely, but they're going to be all spread out, and I can drop lightning tenders on them so that he can't chain lightning me, or lightning leap me, or electro leap, whatever that shot is they have. I can make him have to deal with just a few of them and then take them out on the next turn. And I'll have the Bloodweavers to back them up. We'll see what happens with with Krueger's response. So I bounce a Blackclad over to within 2 of a stone. Going to give me a spray. I'll protective plates and run the Feral up here. Then I'll put him in a set of stones as well. He's got a little bit of cover from that wall, from that obstacle. I'll run and rile Gorax up here so that I've got a full load of Fury. This Gallows Groves is going to put him in range of Krueger's being able to chain lightning these murder ponies. And he's got him in a nice little horseshoe, so no matter what I roll, if I bounce off either one at the end of that horseshoe, it's going to get his guys and not my guys, unless I roll a huge number. So I'm going to boost a hit, I hit, and then I get 6 leaps, which means it's going to bounce onto 2 of my guys if they're within 4, and she is. So it's just going to get 4 of his guys and 2 of my guys. His guys can survive it, my guys can't. So here we go. I'm going to boost on the 2 that are in the woods that can see through, and not on the ones that are not. Wow, I roll a 10 and an 11. Might as well boost the rest last just to wipe them completely out. My 2 chicks get exploded too. My dice are hot. I'll take that trade, an entire unit of murder ponies for 2 chicks with sticks and an activation of Krueger. Here's where the Bloodweavers kind of, the non-AD Bloodweavers kind of get a jump on the game here. They shouldn't be that far up. But other than that, excellent turn.
Well, I definitely didn't expect to lose an entire unit of Tempest Blazers on the bottom of turn 1, but you gotta admit, that's pretty awesome. I've never seen Chain Lightning do that much damage. Makes me really want to play some P. Krueger. At this point, what I'm thinking is I've lost a substantial amount of my points, and his army is mostly stealth, so this turn isn't going to be huge for me, but I just got to kind of hang in there and hope that Krueger 1 presents himself as, as an assassination. I'm hoping that, having my trenches block line of sight will help a little bit in retaliation, and then maybe I can shave off a few of his closer Bloodtrackers, so that's probably what I'm going to do. Looks like first I'm moving up Little Haley, and she is going to cast a Chain Blast into the Bloodtracker unit. The nice thing about the Haleys is they do have true sight, so I can see through stealth, so now it's just a matter of hitting them. Looks like I miss, and I deviate in a not so great direction so it doesn't catch anyone, but the good thing about Chain Blast is I have a second chance to deviate again, so let's see where that goes. Hopefully I get a couple of them. Looks like it's going to go 4 to the 4. And so since it does go from the origin, we determine it does go back towards Little Haley, so both of them end up catching nothing. So, wasn't ideal, but, I still have a few other attacks, so I'm confident I'll get some of his models off the table. I'm keeping Future Haley right there, so I have a wide temporal flux range, and I'm keeping my Warcaster in the trench. Next, I'm taking the Charger up. I'm spending 1 focus to boost the attack and damage on the 1 Bloodtracker behind the wall. Let's see if I hit her. Roll pretty high, so I hit her and take her off the table. And now I have 2 extra focus, but I realize that there's probably nothing else in range. At this point, I measure just to try a shot to see if I get it, and I think I'm going to measure that right now, actually, and determine that I'm out. So it's 1 wasted focus. After that, it looks like I'm moving my trenchers up again, giving them the cloud order, and just hoping that I can survive another turn and really force the circle player to engage into me, because once he engages into me, I can clear a lot of infantry with the Storm Lances, and they're actually really good at killing heavies too. So, I'm hoping maybe I can get a bunch of infantry and take 1 of the heavies off the table. That'd be an ideal turn for me. Again, looks like I'm just moving the lances so they're just out of cloud range while leaving enough room for the trenchers to tactical supremacy back between the storm lances and the cloud. At this point, I'm starting to move all of my support, and what I'm doing is I'm trying to spread my support out as much as I can, just because I feel like next turn Krueger is going to feat, and I want him to catch as little as possible in his feat. There goes the tactical supremacy, and that will be my turn 2. So kind of an underwhelming turn 2, but again, I just need to really wait for the circle player to engage me.
Well, I'll pull back all my fury, trying to plot out a turn here. I'm going to try to jam with my little chicks with sticks. I think if I lightning tendrils and sprint, or lightning strike and lightning tendrils this feral, I'll be able to kill. Maybe I might be able to reach a cavalry with the reach from the lightning tendrils, but I'm not sure. It's hard to tell here. Measure my control area to try to get an idea. I don't want to feat with Krueger yet. I want to save it for the turn to get maybe some of those pesky solos that are hiding behind his lines there, things that he can't revive. The Stalker, I mean, I'll teleport him up too if I think I can reach something, and put sprint on him as well. Maybe get 1 or 2 of those trencher infantry hide behind the cloud there. I don't think I can get to the cavalry with him for sure. I might be able to get the Charger or that 1 Storm Lancer that's at the very bottom of his line there, toward the front of the line, with the feral. Since the Bloodtrackers are starting within 10 inches of their prey, they're going to get to move 9 inches. So I'm probably going to just walk up and stab stuff. I guess I could stand in the clouds and throw at the storm lances behind the clouds. Probably be my better choice, but I need to get rid of some of these trenches. I need this cloud to go away. So with that in mind, I'm going to drop lightning tendrils on the feral and lightning strike. And still not enough of his non-lightning immune stuff in my control area to make it worthwhile to drop my feet. So Krueger's done. Going to measure the controller a couple more times. Then I'm going to go for the wolf assault with both wolves. Stalker can clear the wall. I mean, not the Stalker, the feral. The Reach Feral can clear the wall. The Stalker gets into the clouds, but he only reaches one guy. So I guess I'll sprint him. He'll cast Lightning Strike himself and stab that one guy, boosting to hit, since it's the only guy who's going to get the hit. And then he's going to have Warped Prowl, and he's going to run back into the woods there. He's not going to be safe from the Storm Lances, but I've got a cloud of infantry that I can put in front of between the Storm Lances and him, so it'll kind of minimize his impact attacks. As he only gets to do impact attacks once during a model's individual activation, if you spread out the infantry far enough apart, you can make a double line that he can't get through with just one cavalry model. Since it all has to be in the melee, half-inch melee range for the impact attacks. If you just keep your guys a little further out of that, you don't got to worry about it. So the feral does his reach thing with lightning tendrils and gets a couple of guys, and then sprints back to the other side of the wall. I sprinted it back far enough that hopefully those storm lances won't be able to get too many on him. The Bloodtrackers are activating, and they're doing what I had said that was going to do. They're just going to go up and poke stuff with their swords, or their daggers, or the javelins, or whatever the hell they poke stuff with, and then reform to kind of get in the way of my, in between my feral and his retaliation. They don't move as far as I had hoped they would be able to move, but they're in his face, so I can live with that. And I'm really trying to just get rid of the trenchers, and this temporal flux is making it difficult to hit them. I got one hit, I think, out of 5 attacks, or 4 attacks. I'll live with that. 1 hit out of 4 attacks I can do. That's not bad at all. I think I needed 9s, maybe 8s to hit them. They're just throwing dice at the Charger and at the Storm Lances now, wherever they can. Then they're going to reform up into their face and back behind this wall here to deny his cavalry spots to do impact attacks and no places to land. If I'm on the other side of the wall, he doesn't get to do impact attacks because I'm too far away. Gorax is going to run over here. I think I'm going to put him up next to that obstacle instead of right in front of Krueger. That way he doesn't get force hammered by a baby Haley or slammed by something into Krueger, knocking him down, unless he gets a fairly wide. He has to get an angled shot. He can't just do it from straight forward. The obstacle is kind of interposing itself a little bit between the Gorax's base and Krueger. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the Rotterhorn, so that the Rotterhorn is in front of the Gorax and base to base with him, so you got to get a straight side angle. And pass the turn.
Now that it's my turn, I'm really thinking about 2 things. I'm thinking about either being able to unjam myself up and clear as much of his Bloodtrackers as I can, as well as trying to take out the feral behind the wall, or I'm thinking about assassinating. So the way that Fort has lined up his 2 light war beasts is actually making it really hard for me to be able to slam one of them into Krueger, which with a force blast, and that's really with a force hammer, and that's really my primary way of knocking him down and then shooting him to death. So right now we're kind of discussing, what direction the light beast would go if I slammed him, and it looks like the way they are right now takes the assassination off the table. So in that case, I'm allocating to my jacks, and I'm thinking about the best way to attrition down everyone as fast as I can. So one great thing about the Storm Lances is they have Electro leaps off of their attacks. They have an assault shot, so they can actually really kill a bunch of infantry as well as threaten heavy targets. So I'm hoping that I get a lot of work out of them that round. Baby Haley's also pretty good at taking down heavy targets. She has a Reach Weapon Master attack that, between feeding with Haley to give her basically 2 extra focus, and then Harmon something with Aiyana, I can pretty reliably take down a lot of heavy targets with just little Haley. And it also helps that she's incorporeal, so she really gets where she wants. So again, since the assassination is off the table, I'm kind of thinking that that's the way to go this round. Now Fort's only killed a couple of my trenchers, so I don't have a lot of revive targets, but I do have that charger again, so I'm going to load him up on 3 focus, and maybe I'll punch some things or get to shoot something twice. So I guess as I wait to make my moves, okay, looks like I'm moving now. So Aiyana and Holt are moving, and again, the primary reason for this is Aiyana wants to get a harm onto that feral, and then Holt is going to shoot it a couple times at an effective POW 14 if the harm lands. So let's see my roll right here. That's a 5. We can't see the other dice, but I do remember that it is enough to harm the heavy. Fort does check to see if it's within the inch of the wall, and it's not quite there, so he doesn't get the cover bonus. And from there on, I'm just going to take Holt's 2 hand cannon shots into the heavy and ding it up a little bit. The thing that I really like about this list in particular is that it just has a surprising amount of shooting in it and range damage. I mean, you can even get the Junior and Jakes. They both have hand cannons too and focus to boost. So you can put a surprising amount of hurt on something from far away. I think that's pretty cool. So right now it looks like I'm feeding with my Warcasters and checking the threat range of the Stalker right now, just to make sure I don't put Haley in a place where she gets charged by the Stalker next round. Looks like I decided to move her right out of the trench right there, and the primary reason to put her right there is just I need to keep her in command of little Haley when Haley sets off that charge onto the feral. Measuring the distance, I got it. Again, she's incorporeal, so she can go through models, and she's going to end right within reach range of the feral. Now I haven't exactly mathed out how much damage I'm supposed to do on average, but with between Temporal Flux lowering its defense and having 7 attacks, if I buy each attack at POW 12, I feel pretty good about killing it. Right now I'm just reviving my 2 trenchers with some focus on, looks like Prime Haley and Future Haley. Also measuring to make sure that I'm out of threat range of the Bloodweavers right there. One good thing about Haley3 is with Temporal Flux, she goes up to a high enough defense that any of Fort's infantry needs to roll boxcars in order to hit me. And that's with Temporal Flux and then set defense from a charge. So that's what makes her so high. And then, like I said, she still has Arcane Shield on herself too, so that just makes her really tanky. In fact, I think Haley3 is probably one of the hardest casters to kill in the game. Just between all of that, you add Rupert in to put Dirge on them since they're a unit, and it just gets pretty crazy. And again, just taking a bunch of attacks on that feral, trying to get it off the board. Looks like my damage rolls are going a little bit low right here, so I may not actually kill it with the 7 attacks. I also missed attack, I think, but I have more ways to deal with it. Like I said, I still have the Storm Lances, and you know, I have Dynamo if need be, even though he'd be in melee now. So I have a few ways to deal with it, so hopefully we can take it off the table. Let's see. So now it looks like I'm moving my trenchers up, and at this point it doesn't really make sense to cloud wall since the lines are so far clashed together, so I'm just going to try to make as many good attacks with them as I can. And right now I'm trying to clear some charge lanes for my Storm Lances as well. That's why I moved that one trencher that way. Looks like the trencher in melee actually killed the one Bloodtracker. And now we're trying to make sure line of sight is correct so I can shoot another one right there. Looks like I missed that one, and this last one is going to shoot there. Looks like that one missed as well. So now I get to charge with the Storm Lances, and like I said, they just have so many ways to clear infantry as well as hidden pretty hard that I'm hoping to get, you know, a few of these things right here. They have their impact attacks, which generate electro leaps. They have an assault shot, which without Deadeye it's very unlikely to assault shot hits, but you know, sometimes you roll high and it's a nice advantage. And then they have the actual leech charge attack. So here we're using laser sight and proxy bases just to make sure that I can successfully charge the Feral right there, just to make sure I can get through. Looks like I can. He is going to be obscured by the wall, so he will get that +2 defense bonus, but these guys go up to a pretty high mat, and then there's Temporal Flux too to help me deal with the high defense. So it looks like I'm aiming to get a second Storm Lance on the Feral just in case, just to make sure it's dead. Don't want that thing alive another round. And then my last commander is running and just getting in a position where everyone's in command. Looks like I missed with the first one, so it's a good thing that I had that second one in there, because that will do enough damage to hopefully kill it. Right there, we were just trying to determine where it would electro leap to before we remove the Feral from the board. Alright, so now that the Feral's dead, I have this charger that's full up on focus and I don't have much to do with it, so I guess he's just going to try to get into melee with 2 of the chicks and hit him a few times. See if I can, you know, attrition him down a little more. Finally, I have Dynamo. There's actually not much for Dynamo to do, so right now I'm kind of putting... He has reach, so I'm trying to put him in the way of all of the Bloodweavers and hoping that maybe next round they do end up charging me And again, that's because, like I said, he starts out at defense 12, he has set defense to make him 14, sidekick makes him defense 16, and if he is within temporal flux, he goes up to a defense 18. And finally, I'm spreading out my support just because I know next turn Krueger 1 is probably going to feed.
Well, I had the Feral positioned so that he couldn't get more than a couple of cavalry on me, but I didn't think about baby Haley hopping over the wall insubstantial and using her brain to headbutt the Feral to death. She didn't quite kill him, but she left him in such a bad shape that the 2 Stormlances were able to. However, I think he's kind of overextended himself. He's in a bad spot here with a lot of his models. His heavy-hitting Stormlances are all in sort of a clump there, where I can get Gorax, the Rotterhorn, the northernmost Bloodweavers, and the Stalker onto most, if not all of them. And that's going to be an issue for him, because the only other heavy-hitting thing that he has in his army is baby Haley and the Dynamo. And the Dynamo is very much out of position dealing with the Bloodweavers on his flank, who have finally their AD is finally caught up to where they could be. That they could be 38 inches up the board right now, and that's about where they are. So I don't feel horrible about it. I do feel bad about it, but it was a big bad mistake. And I as soon as I started watching the video, I knew that I'd screwed up. I hadn't been playing Circle in a while. I've been playing mainly Cygnar and Scorn, and I just forgot that they didn't have AD. They look like they should have AD. So the Rotterhorn goes in and does some pretty nasty work on baby Haley with his shriek and his charge. He kills her. I charged, then cast my Animus so that I was going to get to shriek afterwards. Did my charge attack, and it hit. It connected even with the temporal flux, and I did a fair amount of damage. And now the Gorax is coming up, and he's going to work on this Stormlance. It's already beat up a little bit, so you should be able to take it out fairly easily. Got to deal with I guess the Bloodweavers are going to deal with at least 2 of these guys. That's probably a mistake there, moving that Stalker up. I should have gotten the Bloodweavers out of their way, out of his way, and let him go to work on the three Stormlances and the trencher there behind that flag. But instead, I'm trying to play it safe in case I don't kill most of this stuff here. The Stalker can get back into get covered by these Bloodweavers so that they can't get murdered. Or I'll have a heavy hitter left after my turn if I don't win this turn. I don't think it's going to be a feat turn, but we'll see. I actually am still fairly far away from being able to get to any of those important solos in the backfield with my feet. And his Stormlances tend to soak up chain lightning bounces with their immunity to lightning, so they kind of make it not as good to try that with the Gallows Groves up at the top there on those trenchers. So here come the Bloodweavers. They're very good against infantry. I'm not sure how they're going to do against this cavalry. They can get an additional die, making them roll 4 dice. They're like weapon masters against living models. They have several other abilities, but that's the main one I'm going to be using here. I just throw one out on Super Haley, or on normal Haley, because why not? I mean, I can get lucky, I guess. I wanted to tie her up, maybe. So we're doing Bloodburst on this guy. I know we did the extra damage on that one, and we actually hit Haley with a boxcar there, I believe it was. So she's taken 4 dice, and 3 dice, because I had said that I was doing the dispel thing. So we knocked Arcane Shield off of her and did 5 damage, I believe, total. That was actually a good shot by her. I'm going to put the Gallows Groves up here and maybe try to put something into Haley if I can get a shot and get rid of the Bloodweaver. I mess up here. I was thinking that I would put my feet down and kill the Bloodweaver and do damage to Haley, and then I'd have a chance to drop a chain lightning on Haley boosted to hit without her being in melee. And I just forgot that that was my plan. and just put Haley inside the feet. So you know, it's just we're playing this kind of really fast because the shop's about to close, so it's been kind of loose. And I rolled a huge damage roll on Haley, 15 or 16 damage there, and that ends up killing her. So I guess it's better to be lucky than good. Good game, Snarke.
Alright, so if that game didn't make you want to play Prime Krueger, I don't know what else would. It was a really awesome way to end it, having the Bloodweaver going, roll the boxcars to remove Arcane Shield, and then having Krueger just go Sith Lord on you and kill you with his feet with all of that electricity. Fort's always a great opponent to play. I always learn a lot and have a lot of fun playing against him, so it's always a joy to play him, especially on video. And as far as things I could have done differently, I think my biggest mistake was moving my Tempest Blazers too far up the board on turn 1. I could have pretty easily positioned them behind the forest so that Krueger could have not got that chain lightning off and taken out the entire unit. Besides that, there are a few other small errors that I'm gonna, go back and watch the video and try to correct next time I bring Haley3 out. But overall, she's a lot of fun, win or lose, and I had a lot of fun playing the game. So tune in next week, guys. We're gonna have another good video report for you on advanced maneuvers. Thanks.